Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today, from McFarlane Toys, we have the DC Multiverse Batman of Earth-22 Infected. So this is from the Dark Knights metal series of comic books. And I've said this many times before, I wasn't a big fan of the Dark Knights metal books. They didn't really strike a chord with me, but man, we got some great action figures out of them. So this figure right here is something I never saw in the wild. I've never seen this at any of my local stores. Anytime I do a search for McFarlane action figures on Amazon, this guy would always pop up. And he came up a couple of times in recent searches, and he was on sale. And it's one of those things where it's like throughout my whole career of collecting action figures, I was always kind of the person that's like, I don't want any of the weird varied looks or different costumes of like the really well-known superheroes. For example, I always preferred the much more iconic looks of Batman and Superman. For me, I just wanted the plain Batman, whether it is the blue and gray with the oval logo or the black and gray with the bat on his chest. I never was keen on like the oddball Batmans, like Arctic Attack Batman, where he's colored so he looks like he's covered in ice armor, or like some sort of like amalgamation of like Batman where he has giant bat wings and he's meant to fly. Growing up as a kid, I always preferred this plain old Batman, but as I've grown older, I've kind of learned to become a little bit more open-minded, realizing that sometimes some of the cooler figures we get isn't always going to be the most iconic version of that character. So when I saw this guy online, I'm like, I'll pull the trigger on him. He's on sale. I think when I bought him at the time, I might have paid $15 for him on Amazon. So that was one thing that kind of sweetened it. I'm like, he's on sale. But, the whole time I was looking at the figure on Amazon, I'm like, it just looks weird. But the thing is, as soon as I got him in the mail, I kind of realized that the photography that I saw on the website, it didn't do this guy, and it didn't do him justice. Like, as soon as I picked this guy up in hand, when I took him out of the mailer, I'm like, man, everything about this figure is perfect. The proportions are really, really well done. He's not too muscular. This is kind of how I really envision Batman in terms of his musculature. The horns are the right length. I hate it when Batman's horns are too short, and I also hate it when they're too long. The width of his cheeks is just perfect. Like, everything. I know it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm very particular about how I envision Batman. And even though this is not, my Batman, this is, Dark Knight's metal infected Batman, there's just something about this figure that really appeals to me. The utility belt looks great. The sculpting looks amazing. I just kind of wish that they took everything about this figure and kind of made him look, make him look more iconic. But for what you're getting here, it's pretty mind-blowing. You're not going to see it on camera, but in person, like this neon green, in person, it really just pops off the character. It almost looks like a day glow color. So I have a feeling that if you put this guy under a dark lamp or a black light, it'll just start to like glow, like wherever it's green. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things about this figure. Like, I didn't expect to like it as much as I would, but once I got it in hand, it looks friggin' amazing. And it makes me want to go back and hunt down some of those other, like, Jokerized kind of looking characters, like the Joker Robins, the Robin King. There's also the Joker Nightwing. I think I need like the full set of all those kind of Jokerized characters to complement this guy. So yeah, I'm really excited to look at this. When I first saw photos of him online, I'm like, he looks all right. I was very lukewarm to him, but as soon as I got him in hand, it's like I said, there's just something about the presentation of the character and seeing it in person. The proportions just looked great, and everything just looked really awesome about it. Sometimes, for example, they might produce the figure I want, but then the end result is, could be very disappointing. For example, there was the McFarlane, I think it was the Detective Comics 1000 Batman. and it's a somewhat more modern look of Batman, but it's borderlines on the iconic side. And for me, that's the costume I really like and I really prefer. But the figure was just, oh man, there's so many things wrong with it. You know, the ab cut for the chest and the torso area looks terrible. The head kind of looks too small. The horns aren't right. But, you know, McFarlane Toys have been around for, like, I think at this point, producing DC figures for maybe close to 4 years already. Or, I know it's a little bit over 3. So, you know, it seems like with every wave of figures, the quality of the figures and the presentation of the figures just keeps on getting better and better. Alright, so as you'll notice, you get the trading card and the figure stand. It comes with a very large neon green Batarang, as you can see right there. But I want to focus on the figure. For me, this is all about the figure. Man, this is such a perfect Batman. It blows my mind. And it's not like the iconic representation of Batman either. Like, everything about this figure feels so perfect to me. The cape is just like the perfect material. It's not too thick like on some figures. It's not too thin. You know, it's nice and bendy. It doesn't feel like it's weighting the figure down too much in the back. I love the contrast in terms of the texture. Like on the outer surface, it's very beat up, it's worn, it's very cracked. And then once you get on the inside, it's the complete opposite. It's very smooth. And this is really cool. I dig that a lot. I like the fact that it's almost a near neutral cape. I complain about this all the time with some of the action figures. Sometimes they make the capes look like they're flowing too much. But this one, it's a little bit it's still kind of flowing, but it's a little bit more on the subtle side. It's almost to the point where it's coming down fully neutral, which I like a lot. And I kind of dig how it overlaps a little bit over the leg in the front. I think that's a nice touch. But like I said, I think for me, the one thing that really stands out is just the proportions of this figure. It's a Batman that's not too bulky. It's not too lean. It's, you know, it's just perfect. This figure stands in at about, with the horns, 7.5 inches. And, man, it's pretty solid. This is a great looking figure. Now, it might be a turnoff for some people that, like I said, this isn't an iconic version of Batman. It's, you know, kind of like a Jokerized, infected Batman. But if you can look past that and just judge the figure on the merits of it, this, you know, for what it is, it's simply beautiful. Everything about this figure, it just screams special to me. Like, the color scheme is wild. I love the neon green, especially on the chest. The bat emblem just really pops out. You know, I'm sure if you like shined a black light on this character, he'd probably just glow in the dark. The bat belt is awesome. It's kind of, for me, like a weird amalgamation of like the old Batman 66, but you know, with larger like cloth pouches. You know, I'd love to take this utility belt and this lower pelvic piece and swap it onto like another Batman figure, because I think this could be very iconic on a great Batman figure. Yeah, everything about this is awesome. I like this guy a lot. Can't stress that enough. I was so like eating my words when I got this guy in the mail and I was looking at him because there's something about like this, the stock photography, especially like in the thumbnail image. It's like it doesn't look appealing to me, and I can understand why this guy's on sale. It's like when people do a search for Batman, they want plain old Batman. They don't want Batman that looks like the Joker. They don't want Batman in wacky colors, but this is like awesome. All right, so enough gushing over the action figure. Let's be a little bit more critical and check out the paint application and the articulation and the sculpting. All right, so let's take a look at his head up close. Looks well done. I kind of feel like the ears could be a little bit sharper, just a little bit. They kind of like dulled down towards the tips. The paint application on the face seems to be all right. Now the thing with this neon green is that if it gets blotchy or if it looks, if the paint application isn't perfect, you're really gonna notice it because the contrast against the darker blue is really gonna make any errors in the paint application stand out. So in some areas, the paint application of the green could look a little bit blotchy. Like here at the tail, even though it's colored in perfectly, it just looks a little chunky. But it's nice still. You can kind of see the cracks in the bat emblem. The sculpting is superb. Look at all the wraps and details and textures and folds. All very realistic. The belt buckle for me is a big, awesome highlight. If you could take this lower pelvic area and the belt and swap it onto another figure, especially a much more iconic Batman, I think you could create a really nice custom with it. And I kind of like how it's Batman with his briefs over his tights. It's hard to tell, but his briefs are actually, I think, black to match his gloves and boots. They're not, or are they blue? I can't tell. It's hard to see. They look black, I think. I don't know. Either way, it looks, man, I can't tell. In some areas it looks black, in other areas it looks blue. So I can't make that out. Either way, it's awesome. Boots are really well done too. They look very worn, cracked, very, beat up looking. The cape again looks nice. As you can see, he has one trigger hand, and then he has splayed out hand with some sharp claws. For his articulation, his head rotates. He looks down. Excellent range of motion. Looks up. It's all right. His arms rotate, and they kind of get in the way of the cape a little bit, but the cape's soft enough where it'll fold out. And then his arms rotate up. He has that ball-jointed butterfly on the inside, as you can kind of see there. Doesn't allow for that much extended range of motion, but it's still nice to have. He has a double pinned elbows and articulated wrists. He has that exposed ball joint for the wrist, but the nice thing is it's just not a plain ball. This one actually has some sculpting to it, so it actually looks like a little bit more natural because there's some folds and wrinkles in the ball joint. So it kind of cleverly hides it. It's not as pronounced as other figures where it's just strictly a ball. Mid-cut torso, so it allows for shake a little, crunch forward a little bit, arch back. I believe he has an articulated waist, so you could rotate him at the waist. He could kick forward about that much. It's a little bit limited. Kicks out, almost full splits, I think. No, it's a little, it gets a little bit limited because some of the pouches on his utility belt are longer, so it's gonna collide with the leg. Double pinned knees, so he has articulated knees. Again, really beautiful that They gave us a wrinkled ball joint, so it kind of blends in well with the boot. And you can see the articulation in the foot and ankle. Overall, very solid figure. Man, this guy really takes the cake. You know, if you're one of those collectors who just, you know, if you were like me and you were more about just like the iconic versions of the characters, this is something that I think you should maybe give a chance, you know, especially if you can find it on sale. It's a very unique take on Batman, yes, but at the same time, I think despite that, you know, what you're getting is something that's really quality. It has a, I think it's well executed. Everything about the figure is nice, from the proportions to the detailing. It's a very lively looking character. It's beautiful. Well worth the purchase. I'm glad I got this guy on sale. Like I said, I never saw this guy in the wild. You know, I never saw him at the store shelves. But for whatever reason, Amazon had him and he was cheap. So, win-win for me. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.